Magandang buhay mga estudyante ng City College of Tagaytay. Darako tayo at this point para sa valued pinaikling values education in building the nation. May tatlong bahagi ang session o klase o lecture na ito. Ito ay pangungunahan ko kasama ang dalawa kong mga kaibigan para ituro sa atin paano ba natin mas mapapalalim ang ating pag-unawa sa ating pakikibahagi sa pag-unlad at pagmamalasakit sa ating bansang Pilipinas. Kaya nga may NSTP. Ang NSTP ay isang kurso, subject para tayong mga estudyante, kayo, lalo na mga kabataan, ay mabigyan ng pagkakataon upang maintindihan bakit mahalaga na ang kabataan ay nag-aaral ng seryoso upang payamanin, paunlarin ang kanyang bayan. So, valued. Maririnig nyo sa kabuuan ng ating pag-aaral that you are valued. So, sabi ko, may tatlong bahagi. Sisimulan ito sa pag-unawa ng human person. Ano ba ang maging tao? Ano bang naiintindihan ko? Ano ba yung mga nagugustuhan ko? Ano ba yung mga nakikita kong kahalagahan? Bakit ako ay isang tao? At mula sa pag-unawa ng ating pagiging tao, susundan ito ng lecture on video ng isang kaibigan. Dati, leader estudyante ko to sa Student Catholic Action sa Archdiocese of Manila, na train, nabigyan ng mga formation program, at ngayon ay isang ganap ng registered social worker, si Mr. Jonathan P. Reginales. Ibabahagi niya sa atin ang Foundation of Community Service. Ang NSTP, mahalagang component nito, bukod sa pag-aaral, tayo ay dapat ma-involve sa community. Pero dahil nga sa pandemic, wala tayong gagawing community service. Kaya nga, i-convert natin ang community service papasok sa ating mga tahanan, sa ating pamilya. Ginawa nyo na, hindi ba, ang I-Care Project? So, yaan ay susundan natin ng mas malalim pang pag-unawa. Si Mr. Jonathan P. Reginales ang magbabahagi sa atin para mas maintindihan natin ano nga ba ang mga pundasyon ng pag-unawa, bakit ang isang kabataan o ang isang tao ay dapat makilahok sa lipunang kanyang kinabibilangan. At sa third video, tutulungan tayo ng isa pang kaibigan ulit, si Miss Leia P. Dasigan. Siya ay magsasalita naman tungkol sa mga challenges of community building. Hindi madali, class, na bumuo, mag-organisa ng isang lipunan. Susubukan nating mas maintindihan. Ano ba yung basic na community mayroon tayo? Kundi ang ating pamilya. So, si Leia naman ay isang youth minister. Nagtatrabaho sa CBCP. Okay? Ang CBCP ay Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines. So, hindi ko na to patatagalin. Sisimulan natin ang ating pag-aaral. Simulan nating pakinggan ang lecture video ni Mr. Jonathan P. Reginales. Siya ay isang leader estudyante dati ng Student Catholic Action, naging program coordinator, district coordinator, nag-aral, naging dalubhasa, at ngayon ay rehistradong social worker. Siya ay nagtuturo at bahagi ng social action team ng Ateneo de Manila University. Siya ay naging tagapagtaguyod ng iba't ibang mga organisasyon at mga iba't ibang lipunan. Kaya naman, naniniwala ako marami tayong matututunan mula sa kanya, kaya panoorin natin, pag-aralan at matuto. Paano ba tayo mas makikilahok pa sa ating lipunan? Happy learning! Thank you!
Maraming salamat, CCT-NS, na ako ay inanyayahan na makabahagi sa inyo sa inyong pag-aaral virtually. Bigyan ninyo ako ng pagkakataon na ibahagi ang kahalagahan ng paglilingkod sa komunidad. At ito yung tinatawag na Foundation of Community Service. At syempre, bago tayo magsimula, mahalagang tignan natin na ang bawat isa sa atin ay may iba't ibang perspektibo, may iba't ibang pananaw, may iba't ibang pagtingin sa buhay. Pero sa kabilang banda, tayo ay inaanyayahan sa araw na ito ng ating gagawing pag-aaral. Natanggalin muna natin ang iba't iba nating pananaw at perspektibo at magkaroon tayo ng pare-parehong pagtingin sa kahalagahan ng paglilingkod sa komunidad o yung tinatawag na Foundation in Community Service. So let's start our interaction by understanding the value of person. Sabi nga natin sa unang bahagi na meron tayong iba't ibang pananaw. May iba't iba tayong perspektibo sa buhay. Pero sa kabila ng lahat ay meron tayong pagkakapare-pareho. Tayo ay may dignidad at tayo ay may dangal. Tayo ay nilikha ng Diyos, nakawangis niya. At bilang isang tao, sabi natin, may mga ability o may mga kakayahan tayo. Una, may kakayahan tayong to accomplish those tasks and activities necessary to meet our basic needs. So, ibig sabihin, may kakayahan tayong tugunan at gamitin yung ating tungkulin upang tumugon sa mga pangunahin nating mga pangangailangan. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong role na hinihingi sa atin ng ating lipunan na dapat nating gampanan. Ano ba yung mga activities of daily living? Una, we have the capacity to come up with decision and behavior required to meet the basic needs. We have the decision and behavior for protecting self from harm. We also have the capacity to develop social support from others and finding and meaning and purpose in life. Ibig sabihin, bilang isang tao, bahagi ng ating gawain ay yung tumugon sa kung ano yung inaasahan sa atin. Meron tayong capacity and capability to protect ourselves. And at the same time, we also have the capacity to ask support from others. And at the end, to develop and find meaning and purpose in our life. That is our intention. That is our activity. But in order for us to respond to this activity, we need to function well. We need to perform well. And elements of social functioning, it is all about addressing human needs that must be adequately met to enable individual to achieve a reasonable degree of fulfillment. Ibig sabihin, gumagawa tayo ng ating tungkulin, bawat isa sa atin, upang higit magampanan natin ang tungkulin na ito at magawa natin yung mga inaasahan sa atin. At yung pangalawa, to function as productive and contributing members of society. Ibig sabihin, pangalawang bahagi ng ating responsibilidad ay maging kapaki-pakinabang, hindi lamang sa ating sarili, hindi lamang sa ating pamilya, kung hindi sa lipunan na ating ginagalawan. At dito pumapasok na ikaw bilang tao ay hindi lamang para sa sarili mo. Ikaw ay nilikha para sa kapwa mo. Ano yung ibig sabihin nito? Ito yung tinatawag na person and environment concept. Ano yung ibig sabihin? Social functioning draw attention to the match or fit between the needs and capacities of the individual and the opportunities demand of the social environment. Ang punto ay, una, pagtingin at pagkilala sa iyong kakayahan at kakanyanan bilang isang tao. Ganun din, bahagi ng iyong kakayahan at kakanyanan ay gamitin ito para sa iba. At ito yung inaasahan sa iyo ng iyong lipunan. Ito yung inaasahan sa iyo ng iyong pamayanan. Na gamitin mo ang iyong kapangyarihan para makapaglingkod at makapagsilbi sa iyong kapwa-tao. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, ikaw bilang tao, meron kang needs o meron kang pangangailangan. At ito yung tinatawag na basic needs. Ikaw bilang tao, meron kang kakayahan at kakanyanan. Meron kang talento, meron kang galing. At bawat isa sa atin ay meron neto. At ito ay likas sa atin bilang isang tao. At ganun din, ikaw bilang tao, meron kang hangarin, meron kang aspiration, meron kang pangarap. At ito ay, sabi nga, makita mo kung ano yung purpose at kung ano yung meaning mo sa buhay. Kung ito ang iyong pangangailangan bilang tao, ang komunidad mo o yung environment mo ay tumutugon sa kung ano yung hangarin o yung pangangailangan mo. Kung meron kang needs, ang environment mo o ang lipunan mo ay may resources upang tumugon dun sa pangangailangan mo. Kung meron kang capacity, meron kang capability, ibig sabihin, ang lipunan mo o ang environment mo ay umaasa sa capacity and capability mo. Na gamitin mo ito para sa lipunan mo. Kung meron kang aspiration, may mga pangarap ka at may adhikain ka sa buhay, ang komunidad o ang lipunan mo ay may oportunidad upang tumugon dito. Meron silang opportunities to respond to your aspiration and your dreams in life. Ano yung punto? Ang punto ay ikaw at ang komunidad mo ay kailangang magsama at magkaisa. Hindi ka po pwedeng ako lang. Kung ganun din, hindi po pwedeng ang komunidad mo ay siya lang. Kailangan ninyong magkatugma at magkaisa para sa tinatawag na kaunlaran o development. At syempre, para magampanan yung ating tungkulin, meron tinatawag na social role. Ano yon? Ang social role, this is the expected patterns of behavior and attitude that a person assume in his or her interaction with others. So ito yung inaasahan sa iyo ng iyong lipunan. It is also the structure that link individual with various social system. Meaning, your social role, it is also part of the social system. It is also in relation to the structure of each individual. They are derived from society's structure and institution where certain behavior are expected of persons simply because of particular status or position that they occupy in the society. Ganun din, yung social role na meron ka, ito ay batay sa struktura, batay sa ating lipunan, at ganun din, ito ay inaasahan na dapat nating gampanan at gamitin dahil ito ay hinihingi sa atin ng ating lipunan. At ganun din, social structure, it is also a point of connection between person and environment. Katulad ng binabanggit ko kanina, ikaw at ang lipunan mo ay iisa. Ibig sabihin, dapat maramdaman natin yung ating koneksyon sa ating lipunan o sa ating komunidad. Ano ba yung mga concept pertaining to social role? Ito yung tinatawag na role expectation. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng role expectation? Kung titignan natin the cluster of behavior and attitudes that are deemed appropriate and acceptable by a reference of a group or society as a whole. The reference of group expected of individual to behave in a certain way and will either approve or disapprove of the person depending on whether she conform to the norms or expectation. Role expectation define the limits or range of acceptable and tolerated behavior. When people fail to locate themselves correctly in the social environment, they violate the expectations of others. This offers people to make appropriate adaptation when they conclude that they are not doing well according to expectation. So sa madaling salita, yung role expectation ay inaasahan sa atin ng ating environment o ng ating lipunan na dapat nating gampanan. Dahil kapag hindi natin ito nagampanan, dahil ito yung inaasahan sa atin ng ating lipunan, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na dysfunctional. Ibig sabihin, yung inaasahan sa atin ng lipunan natin ay hindi natin nagagampanan accordingly. Aside from role expectation, meron ding tinatawag na role conception. Ano yun ibig sabihin nito? The individual personal belief and assumption about how he or she is supposed to behave in a particular role. What the individual expect of him or herself may or may not conform to the expectation defined by others and the wider society. Aside from role expectation, role conception, it is all about the assumption also of our environment and at the same time of individual. Ibig sabihin, tayo bilang individual, meron din tayong inaasahang role na dapat ginagampanan sa ating environment or sa ating community or society at large. At meron din tinatawag na role performance. Ito yung the individual actual behavior while performing a role. Ito yung ugali, ito yung gawi natin habang ginagampanan natin yung ating tungkulin. And role demands and requirements. The knowledge, skills, physical and mental abilities, and personal attributes that a person must possess in order to successfully perform a role. Ano yung ibig sabihin? May demands, may requirements, at bahagi ng hinihingi sa atin, gamitin natin yung ating kakayahan, yung ating kakanyanan, yung ating buong pagkatao habang naglilingkod tayo sa ating lipunan o sa ating komunidad. Ngayon, talakayin natin yung mga problems in role performance. Bahagi ng problema yung tinatawag na inter-role conflict. Ano yun? An incompatibility or clash between two or more roles. Aminin na natin o hindi, may kanya-kanya tayong responsibility sa buhay. At minsan, dumarating ang pagkakataon na ito ay nagsasama-sama at nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na inter-role conflict. Hindi mo alam kung ano nga ba talaga ang gagawin mo. Ano ba talaga ang uunahin mo. Bukod dito, another problem is yung intra-role conflict. The person is caught up in a situation where two or more set of expectations are assigned to a single role. Yung intra-role conflict, katulad ng inter-role conflict, may mga tungkulin ka na nagsama-sama at hindi mo alam kung alin yung bibigyan mo dito ng pansin. Halimbawa, nasa online class tayo. Meron kang online class. Sa kabilang banda, nasa bahay ka. Hindi mo inaasahan, kailangan mo tugunan yung responsibility mo din sa bahay. Kasi kailangan ng nanay mo ng tulong. Anong uunahin mo? Ito yung pagkakataon na kailangan mo magnilay. So dito, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na intra-role conflict. Dahil nag-aaral ka sa kabilang banda, kailangan mong tugunan yung hinihingi o hinihiling sa iyo ng iyong magulang. Sana naunawaan mo yung nais ipahiwatig neto. Role incapacity. Ano yun? For some reasons, the person cannot adequately perform a role. Possible reasons include mental, physical illness, lack of knowledge and skills, drug, addiction, etc. Ibig sabihin lang neto, hindi natin nagagampanan yung ating tungkulin. Una, marahil sa mental or physical illness na meron tayo. Pangalawa, wala tayong sapat na kaalaman at kakanyanan para magampanan ito. O di kaya yung drug addiction. So, maaari nating maihambing dito, halimbawa, yung mga PWD na dati silang nakakalakad dahil sa aksidente, hindi iniiwasan, naputulan ng paa. Pero ibig sabihin nito ay hindi na ito ang kumbaga katapusan ng buhay nila. Patuloy, no? Patuloy pa rin silang gumagampan ng kanilang tungkulin. Pero sa kabilang banda, marami silang pinagdadaanan para matanggap ito at ganun din muling makapag-function. At ganun din no, sa atin, minsan may mga kakulangan o may mga limitasyon tayo na hindi natin nagagampanan yung role natin kasi hindi natin alam. Kaya kailangan ng sariling pag-unlad. At yung pang-apat na bahagi, yung rule rejection. The individual refuse to perform a rule. May mga pagkakataon, ito yung tinatawag halimbawa na rule rejection ng isang magulang na pinababayaan niya yung tungkulin niya bilang magulang sa kanyang anak. At maraming ganitong sitwasyon o maraming ganitong problema. Marami sa mga bata ang ibinaabandona ng magulang. At tawag doon role rejection. Role ubiquity on confusion. Ano yun? There are few clear expectations associated with a role. A condition most likely to occur in times of rapid social change. Sa sobrang bilis ng pagbabago, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na role confusion. Ano ba talaga? Ano ba talaga yung role ko? And self-rule incongruence. There's a little overlap between the requirements of a role and individual personality. Or individually finds that his or her own values, ethics, and lifestyle, it adds with expectation of a role. Ibig sabihin, nandoon yung overlapping, yung tinatawag na role requirements. At dahil dito, nagkakaroon ng problema yung personality ng bawat isa. Rule overload, napag-usapan na natin to sa sobrang dami ng ating rule, hindi natin ito nagagampanan. Rule strain, ano yon? A situation that necessitates making compromises and trades-off, setting priorities and using various defense mechanisms in coping strategies to reconcile rule conception with limited time and energy. So, dito pumapasok yung parang ano ba talaga yung priority? Ano ba talaga yung dapat kong unahin? Ano ba talaga yung dapat kong gawin? Kaya may role strain, gumagawa tayo ng mga strategy, pamamaraan para magampanan natin yung ating role. At ito yung kahalagahan ng oras at kahalagahan ng tinatawag na energy. So, napag-usapan natin yung ating role o yung ating tungkulin. Bakit natin to kailangang pag-usapan? Sabi nga natin, bahagi ng ating tungkulin ay hindi lamang para sa ating sarili, kung hindi para sa ating komunidad at lipunan na ginagalawan. So sa bahaging ito, magandang pag-usapan. Ano nga ba talaga ang lipunan? Ano nga ba talaga ang komunidad? Bigyan niyo ako ng pagkakataon para pag-usapan, ano nga ba ang community? A community is about people with diverse characteristics who are linked by social ties, share common perspective, and engage in joint action and geographical location or settings. Ano yung punto? Ang punto ay ang komunidad ay tinatawag na diverse. Bakit? Kasi ibig sabihin, ito ay grupo ng mga tao na may ibang pagtingin at pananaw sa buhay. Pero sa kabilang banda, dahil sila ay nasa community at mula sa salitang commune, merong tinatawag na common perspective, common understanding, common culture, norms, and behavior. And yung communities, it is all about geographical location or setting. And if we try to understand it more, community, it is coming from Latin words means Ano yung ibig sabihin? Means together. Means us, with us. And munis means serve. Hence, the community is about serving together and feeling of we is always evident. Kaya nga kung titignan at babalikan natin yung sinasabi natin kanina, malaki yung responsibility mo. Hindi lamang sa sarili mo, hindi lamang sa pamilya mo, kung hindi sa komunidad na ginagalawan mo. Dahil bahagi ka ng tinatawag ng community. And part of your role, it is to serve the community. And of course, part of your community, basic unit, and that is your family. You have the capacity and capability also to serve your family as part of small community. So, again, when you talk about community, it is a group of people living together in the geographical defined area with common history and defined partners of relationship. These patterns are organized into specific institutions, like what I am mentioning: family, economy, politics, education, religion, health, intended to provide the means in assisting people carry out their day-to-day activities. Patterns are oriented to represent values and norms socially accepted by the people and which becomes aid in solving community problems. And when you talk about community, it is all about people, place, identity, culture, and social system. Okay, so to sum it up, when you talk about community, it is all about membership. It is all about the people. And this community influence one another. But aside from that, it is also an opportunity to reinforce us and at the same time to come up with emotional connection with one another. There's different types of community. Geographically, it's all about ecclesiastical territory. Sectorally, it's all about farmers, fishermen, vendors, women, workers, informal settlers, the children, the youth, the persons with disability, the senior citizens. They are sectoral community. And this sector, they need to function. May kinatawag na functional community. It's all about a school community with teachers, students, or administrators. Like your teacher Loreto, he needs to function well in order for you to gain knowledge or information. And you as a student, you also need to function. And that is to perform well in class for you also to develop your role or your function. There is another type of community, the rural, urban, and urban community. When you talk about rural community, that is province. Urban community, it's the city. The urban community, they are province, but because of the situation of industrialization, they become urban, a combination of rural and urban by nature. And another community, it is the indigenous people, the tribe. They also known as cultural minorities or cultural communities. Now, we understand the different types of community. It is also good for us to know the different approach for us to understand the community. There's ecological approach. When you talk about ecological approach, this is an opportunity for us to understand the community in geographical level. It's all about your observation. Kaya nga yung tinatawag na sociological eye. It is good for us to observe what is the present situation of our community ecologically. Another type, it's all about the structural approach. When you talk about structural approach, it's also good for us to connect with the community and know the relationship of the people and the leaders in the community structurally. And the normative approach, it's all about interaction with the people in order for us to know the values, the norms of the people. Ito yung tinatawag na kailangan nating makipamuhay, kailangan nating makipagkwentuhan, kailangan nating makibahagi upang mas lalo nating malaman at maintindihan ano nga ba talaga at sino nga ba talaga ang ating komunidad. Kung tinitignan nating community ay ang ating pamilya, kailangan nating makihalubilo, kailangan nating makipag-usap sa ating pamilya para mas lalo nating maunawaan ano nga ba yung pinagdadaanan ng nanay ko, ng mga kapatid ko. Ang tawag doon, normative approach. At yung structural approach, marahil kung titignan natin, kumusta ba yung struktura, kumusta ba yung relasyon ko sa aking pamilya, sa aking kapatid, sa aking magulang. Ang tawag doon structural approach, it's all about connection, it's all about interaction. At kung titignan natin ecological approach, yung pagmamasid, yung pag-uobserba, ano nga ba talaga yung kalagayan ng aking pamilya sa mga sandaling ito. Economically, socially, culturally. Okay, so marami na tayo na pag-usapan at marahil ay dadako na tayo mula sa pag-unawa kung ano ang komunidad, ano ang iba't ibang uri ng komunidad, ano yung paraan para mas maunawaan ang komunidad. Dito tayo sa values and principles of working in the community. It is important for us to recognize the self-determination. People and communities have the right make their own choice and decision. Laging ganun, no? Binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon na ang tao, magampanan niya yung kanyang tungkulin at responsibilidad. Meron siyang kakayahan. Empowerment. People shall be able to control and use their own asset and means to influence. Collective action, coming together in a group or organization, strengthens people's voice. Ibig sabihin, yung pagbuo ng komunidad ay hindi lamang gawain ng chairman, hindi lamang gawain ng mga barangay kagawad o opisyales, kung hindi ang pagbuo ng komunidad ay pagbuo ng bawat isa sa atin collectively. Kung ganun din sa pamilya, ang pagbuo ng isang pamilya ay hindi lamang hawak ng ating mga magulang. Collectively, bawat isa may role at tungkulin na ginagampanan. And at the end, working and learning together. Ibig sabihin, collaboration and sharing experience in a vital to good community activity. Kailangan natin magkaisa, kailangan natin magtulungan para magampanan natin yung tinatawag na self-development or community development. Now, from personal or personhood to community, let's try to use a method in order for us to know and understand the community through social analysis naman. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng social analysis? From the perspective of definition, it is all about the interpretation of an observation. Whatever you observe, you can interpret it, that is analysis. And according to Webster, it is to break up a whole system into parts to find their nature. Ibig sabihin, it is an opportunity for you to understand deeply in the process in order for you to recognize the value of the situation in the community. And from the definition, social analysis, it is a tool to know the reality. It is also to obtain more complex picture of social situation, exploring its historical and structural relationship. It is a scientific observation of the economic, social, political, cultural, religious situation of any given context. And it is a systematic process. So meaning using social analysis, it is an opportunity for us to understand more the community deeply. Okay. And of course, the basic objective and purpose of social analysis, it is a guide for us in terms of our action It also provides framework for us to understand the future data, and it is also basic for basic vision setting. But on the other hand, there's also limitation. It does not provide immediate answer to the question. It is not the blueprint of action. It does not provide the cure. And of course, it is the local people and not the expert who are capable of studying their social problems and offering concrete steps towards their solution. It is not us, of course, based on your interaction with the community, the most important person who can respond and who can have the capacity to solve the problems in the community. It is the people itself in the community. Why we need social analysis? Of course, we learn to look for a cause in relationship, structural realities in order to understand the context of people and to plan for effective action. And we see, of course, people not object of study, but other teachers of reality. Okay, I just want to give you the value of social analysis. From your awareness, it is very important, and that is all about your experience. It is good for us to ask ourselves, to cultivate an awareness of insensitivity of social realities. And when you talk about experience, it is an opportunity for you to see the reality in your community. And on the other hand, part of your experience, use this opportunity for you to analyze it. And it is begin to ask why this condition exists. Bakit ito nangyayari? And of course, that also leads you for you to reflect and how is our faith inviting us to respond to this? And at the end, you need to come up with your action. How are we called to respond? And that's the pastoral cycle, or also known as see, judge, and act. So, for us to understand social analysis, I just want to share with you one methodology for you to understand the community using social analysis, and it's all about economic, political, and cultural analysis, or also known as EPC approach. Anong ibig sabihin noon? Ano ang ibig sabihin ng EPC? It's all about your observation from economic, political, and cultural system of the community. So tinitignan mo ano ba ang sitwasyon ng economic, political, cultural. Kung sa pamilya, magandang tignan, kumusta ba yung economic situation namin sa bahay? Kumusta ba yung political system, yung relationship namin? Kumusta ba yung cultural system? When you talk about cultural system, the norms, the behavior, the values, the dreams, and aspiration. So, titignan mo siya isa-isa, papangalanan mo yung kalagayan ng iyong pamilya economically, politically, culturally. At doon titignan mo at pagninilayan mo, ano nga ba yung sitwasyon ng aking pamilya? Ano nga ba talaga yung ugat sa kabuuan? Ano yung pinaka dahilan bakit ito namin nararanasan? What are the effect of this to our family? So, from family, you can also use this in the community. Ano ba yung political situation ng community ko? Ano ba yung cultural situation ng community ko? Ano ba yung economic situation ng community ko? It is valid. Whatever your observation, it is valid. It is essential as long as you're doing this process as part of your social analysis. Muli, maraming salamat mga CCTians. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Maraming salamat sa pakikipag-aralan. Sana ay meron kayong natutunan. Balikan lang natin yung ating pinag-aralan. Una, binigyan natin ng pagkakataon na tignan yung kahalagahan natin bilang tao, bilang bahagi ng komunidad, at may kakayahan na tignan at suriin ang komunidad gamit ang social analysis at ginamit nating method para mas lalong maunawaan ang social analysis, yung economics, politics, and cultural situation. At sa huli, nais ko kayong hamunin, you are valued, you are good, you are CCTians. Maraming salamat at magandang buhay sa ating lahat.